There is something inside you that has been trying to get your attention for a very long time. Not with noise, not with drama, not with anything the outside world could notice. It shows up in a single second when your thoughts suddenly slow down. In a strange pause when you feel a quiet pull from somewhere deeper. In those moments when reality feels the same, but you feel slightly different in a way you cannot explain. Most people ignore this moment. You have ignored it too. Not because you are blind to yourself, but because no one ever taught you to recognize the beginning of a real inner shift. It never arrives loudly. It always arrives as something small. And here is the first truth. The smallest shifts inside you are the ones that change everything. You already know this feeling. It appears right before you make a choice. It appears when you stop scrolling your phone for a second and feel something stir inside your chest. It appears when you're washing dishes, walking home, staring at a wall, or pretending everything is fine. It's quiet, but it repeats. It keeps returning, even on the days you numb yourself with routine. You think it is nothing, a mood, a wave of tiredness, just another thought floating through your mind. But something deeper knows. This is the signal you were never supposed to ignore. You've been carrying a heaviness that never had a name. Not the heaviness that knocks you down, the quieter one. The heaviness that sits behind your ribs and makes you wake up feeling slightly off, even when nothing is wrong. The heaviness that keeps you in patterns you no longer want, but don't know how to break. The heaviness that makes you doubt yourself even when you know you're right. Here is the part most people never admit. You feel the signal most clearly when your life is calm, when there is enough silence for truth to reach you, when your mind is tired of pushing away what you've avoided for years. This is where the first invisible crack forms, not in your life, inside your awareness. You start noticing the places where you force yourself to stay small. You notice how drained you feel after certain conversations. You notice the sudden tension that rises when you think about a certain person, a certain plan, a certain version of yourself. You notice how much effort it takes to pretend that you don't notice. You think you're lost, but actually you're waking up. You think you're breaking down, but actually you're breaking through. You think you're stuck, but actually something inside you is moving for the first time in years. This is exactly where the deepest internal shift begins. Not with clarity, not with confidence, but with a quiet observation that refuses to disappear. There is a pattern in your life that you've felt but never seen. It shaped your choices. It shaped your reactions. It shaped the way you protect yourself, the way you pull back, the way you silence your own truth before anyone else has a chance to ignore it. This pattern has been running you, and the signal you're feeling now, that subtle inner disturbance, is the very first sign that the pattern is loosening its grip. You may think you are simply overwhelmed, but actually your awareness is sharpening. You may think you are exhausted, but actually you are tired of carrying beliefs that were never yours. You may think you are confused, but actually you are starting to see reality without the fog of your old identity. There is a moment in every person's life when they begin to observe themselves instead of just living on autopilot. A moment when your mind stops being a machine of habits and becomes a witness. A moment when your thoughts feel slightly farther away. Not heavy, not loud, just visible. This is that moment for you. This quiet observation is the beginning of your shift. Most people run from this feeling because it threatens the world they built from old versions of themselves. It threatens the comfort of repetition. It threatens the identity they cling to because it feels safer than change. But you are not running. You are noticing. And that one act changes everything. Because once you observe your inner world, you can no longer stay unconscious inside it. You begin to see things you never questioned. Why you stay where you don't grow. Why you shrink your voice around certain people. Why you keep choosing peace that costs you yourself. Why you feel a subtle ache every time you pretend your needs don't matter. This is where the first layer of truth appears. You have outgrown the life you built from survival, and your awareness knows it. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't need to make decisions. You don't need to understand the whole story. All you need to do, for now, is notice the places inside you that feel misaligned. Because this observation is not random. It is the first signal of the most powerful inner transformation you will ever experience. Pause for a second. Feel that quiet place inside you rising. That subtle pressure behind your thoughts. That sense that something is trying to open. Stay with that feeling. Just for a breath. This is where your shift begins. There is a point in every inner shift when the quiet signal stops feeling random and begins to feel intentional. It follows you into moments you didn't expect. Brushing your teeth, standing in line, turning off the lights, pausing before you answer someone. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in pressure. It speaks in the way your chest tightens when something isn't right. It speaks in the way your thoughts hesitate before you repeat an old pattern. It speaks in the way your body reacts before your mind explains. This is the second stage of awareness. Your inner world begins to reveal what your outer world has been hiding. You start to notice things you used to overlook. You start to notice the small drop in your energy when you think about going back to a situation that drains you. You notice the sudden heaviness in your stomach when you think about someone who takes more than they give. You feel the soft resistance that appears when you push yourself toward a path that no longer feels alive. You sense the tension that rises every time you silence something true. These are not emotions, these are signals. Signals that the life you've been living is too small for the person you are becoming. Most people feel these signals and immediately cover them with logic. They rationalize, they excuse, they explain. They stay loyal to the version of themselves that survived, instead of the version of themselves that is ready to grow. But you are at a different point. You can feel that something inside you is not asking for permission anymore. It's asking for honesty. And honesty is where the real shift begins. You may think you're simply tired, but actually you're exhausted from pretending. You may think you're confused, but actually you're seeing things clearly for the first time. You may think you're falling apart, but actually you're falling out of an identity that was never meant to contain you. This is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Awareness always arrives before clarity. You feel the shift long before you understand it. You feel the discomfort long before you can name it. You feel the inner pull long before you know where it leads. And in this gap, between feeling and understanding, most people run back to their old lives. But you didn't. You stayed. You noticed. You allowed the discomfort to speak instead of silencing it. That moment alone separates you from the 99% of people who stay asleep their entire lives. Here is the next invisible layer you are stepping into. You are beginning to see the pattern that has shaped you for years. Not one moment. A pattern. A pattern of shrinking so others don't feel threatened. A pattern of over-explaining yourself to earn safety. A pattern of staying in environments that exhaust you because leaving feels like betrayal. A pattern of choosing peace even when it costs you your self-respect. This pattern didn't appear yesterday. It has followed you through friendships, relationships, decisions, opportunities. It has shaped your reactions. It has shaped your boundaries. It has shaped the way you carry your voice. And the signal you feel now, that quiet inner tension, is your awareness finally rising above the pattern. You think you're overreacting, but actually you're finally listening. You think you're sensitive, but actually you're awake. You think you're losing focus, but actually you're seeing the truth without filters. When awareness sharpens, something else happens. Your thoughts become less loud, but more precise. You begin to sense that some connections in your life were built on versions of you that no longer exist. You begin to realize that some habits were created for survival, not for growth. You begin to understand that some dreams you once had were shaped by fear, not by truth. And the truth always arrives with a strange calm. Not the calm of comfort, the calm of clarity. It's the quiet moment when you admit to yourself, I can't live like this anymore. Not dramatically, not angrily, just honestly. This is the point where shift becomes inevitable. Because once you admit the truth inside you, your life begins to rearrange itself around that truth. You stop apologizing for your needs. You stop defending your boundaries. You stop explaining your intuition. You stop forcing yourself into spaces that shrink you. And something even deeper begins to happen. You start to see your life as it is, not as you hoped it would be. You notice who drains your energy. You notice who unsettles your peace. You notice who brings out your strength without trying to control it. Awareness sharpens your senses. And when senses sharpen, patterns become visible. This is why the inner signal feels stronger now. It's not pushing you, it's leading you. It's pointing to a part of your story you've avoided for years, and now you're ready. Before awareness becomes transformation, there is always a moment like this. A moment where you see the truth and cannot return to pretending you don't. This is the moment you're in right now. But to move deeper, you need one thing: a simple internal shift. Bring your attention to the exact place in your body where the discomfort sits. Not the thoughts around it, not the story about it, just the sensation. Stay there for a breath. Let it exist without naming it. This one act, this single second of awareness, breaks a pattern you've repeated for years. Because the moment you observe something directly, it loses the power to run your life unconsciously. You are doing the rarest thing a human being can do. You are waking up inside your own mind. And this is only the beginning. There is a quiet moment in every inner shift when the truth stops knocking softly and starts pressing from within. It does not rush you. It does not frighten you. It simply makes it impossible to ignore what you already feel. You begin to notice the tension that appears when you try to return to an old version of your life. You begin to notice the subtle disappointment that rises when you force yourself into places that no longer feel like yours. You begin to notice that the person you pretended to be is slowly losing its shape. This is the stage where something inside you becomes unmistakably clear. You cannot go back to the way you used to live. Not because your life is falling apart, but because you are outgrowing the parts of yourself that once kept you safe. You can feel it in your reactions. You can feel it in the way you hesitate before agreeing to something that doesn't align with you. You can feel it in the strange sense of distance between who you were and who you are becoming. You can feel it every time your chest tightens when you try to silence your own truth. Most people turn away from this moment. They tell themselves they're just overwhelmed. They tell themselves they need more discipline. They tell themselves they're being dramatic. But deep down, they know they are standing in front of a pattern they've repeated for most of their lives. A pattern that is finally revealing itself. And here the shift becomes sharper. You think you're losing direction, but actually you're finally seeing the difference between what pulls you forward and what keeps you small. You think you're drifting, but actually you're stepping out of an identity that never matched your real strength. You think you're becoming unstable, but actually you're becoming too honest to keep carrying what no longer belongs to you. These realizations do not arrive loudly. They arrive as a soft ache in the center of your chest. They arrive as a quiet knowing you cannot explain yet. They arrive as a feeling that something is trying to align, even if your mind has no words for it. This is not confusion. This is the beginning of clarity. There comes a moment when your awareness becomes stronger than your habits, stronger than your fears, stronger than the stories you told yourself to feel in control. And when that moment arrives, you begin to sense that the life around you does not fit the truth inside you anymore. You begin to feel the weight of old promises you made to yourself. Promises built on fear. Promises built on survival. Promises built on the belief that your voice didn't matter. Promises built on the idea that you had to earn the right to be yourself. These promises once protected you, but now they suffocate you. And the signal inside you is trying to show you exactly where that suffocation begins. You start to notice how your energy drops around certain people, even before they speak. You start to notice how your spirit tightens when you pretend to be unbothered. You start to notice that your patience isn't patience at all. It's self-erasure. You start to notice that the life you built from fear cannot carry the person you are becoming. This is the moment when your awareness begins to separate from your patterns. The old part of you wants to stay where everything feels familiar. The new part of you wants to breathe. And that tension you feel, that strange inner stretch, is not weakness. It is growth unfolding in real time. You may feel unsteady. You may feel emotional. You may feel like your mind is opening doors faster than you can walk through them. But every one of these sensations is a sign that you are finally meeting your real self. For the first time in a long time, you are not trying to fix yourself. You are trying to understand yourself. And that difference changes everything. There is a quiet shift happening in the way you think. You begin to see your thoughts not as instructions, but as information. Not as commands, but as echoes of old experiences. Not as truth, but as reminders of where you've been, not where you're going. You start noticing which thoughts weaken you, and which ones steady you, which ones drain your energy, and which ones give you strength, which ones keep you small, and which ones open space inside your chest. This is the beginning of real internal power, the kind that does not shout, the kind that does not seek approval, the kind that rises without permission. And with that power comes something else, the ability to see your life clearly. For the first time, you begin to understand that the discomfort you feel is not a sign of chaos. It is a sign that your awareness has outgrown your environment. It is a sign that your deeper self is asking for room to expand. It is a sign that you are standing at the edge of a version of your life you can no longer pretend to fit into. Now bring your attention inward for a moment. Find the exact place in your body where the tension sits. Not the story, not the fear, just the sensation. Stay there quietly. Let it exist without pushing it away. This is the doorway. This is the signal. This is the shift that changes everything. And the more you allow yourself to feel it, the more you will understand that nothing in you is breaking. Something in you is finally waking up. There is a moment in every deep shift when the truth stops feeling like a whisper and starts feeling like gravity. You don't hear it. You feel it. A pull from inside your chest. A gentle weight behind your thoughts. A sensation that something in your life is no longer aligned with the person you are becoming. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, the feeling keeps returning. This is not anxiety. This is not confusion. This is your awareness trying to lead you somewhere new. You start to sense it in the way certain conversations drain you as soon as they begin. You sense it in the way your stomach tightens before you walk into a situation you've outgrown. You sense it in the way your heart drops when you pretend you are okay with something that quietly hurts you. You sense it in the heavy silence that follows every moment when you abandon your own truth. This is your inner signal growing stronger. It doesn't demand anything. It simply shows you the truth you can no longer unsee. It shows you where you betray yourself to keep the peace. It shows you where you stay small to avoid disappointing others. It shows you where you lose energy because the life around you no longer matches the life inside you. Most people run from this feeling because it threatens the identity they've built. But you are not running. You are watching, and the more you watch, the clearer everything becomes. You begin to see the difference between pressure and intuition, between fear and truth, between the voice you learn to obey and the voice that has always been yours. You may not trust it yet, but you can feel it. Some part of you is gaining strength. There is a shift happening in the way you respond to life. You no longer explain yourself in places where your honesty is dismissed. You no longer tolerate conversations that shrink your spirit. You no longer force yourself into patterns that drain your energy. You no longer apologize for the feelings that rise uninvited. And here, another quiet realization surfaces. You think you are becoming distant, but actually you are becoming honest. You think you are losing interest, but actually you are losing tolerance for what hurts you. You think you are changing too fast, but actually you are changing at the exact speed truth requires. Every transformation has a moment like this, a moment when your inner world becomes louder than your habits, stronger than your fears, clearer than your excuses. This is that moment for you. Your awareness is not asking you to make a dramatic decision. It is not asking you to cut ties, to run away, or to reinvent everything overnight. It is asking for something much smaller, something far more powerful. It is asking you to see where you feel misaligned, to see where your energy collapses, to see where your spirit shrinks, to see where your intuition flinches, to see the truth without covering it. When you allow yourself to see, your life begins to shift on its own. You start choosing differently, without forcing yourself. You start responding differently, without thinking about it. You start protecting your peace, without feeling guilty. And then something even deeper happens. You begin to separate what is real from what is familiar. Familiar does not mean right. Familiar does not mean safe. Familiar does not mean aligned. Familiar only means repeated. And you have repeated the same emotional patterns for too long. You stayed where your spirit was starving. You tolerated what slowly weakened you. You carried responsibilities that were never yours. You protected people who didn't protect you. You gave energy to things that never gave anything in return. You silenced yourself to keep the peace, even when the silence cost you your truth. You were surviving, but now you are waking up. And waking up feels nothing like people imagine. It feels like discomfort. It feels like restlessness. It feels like a soft ache in your chest that won't go away. It feels like a truth pressing from the inside, asking you to stop pretending. That inner pressure is not trying to break your life. It is trying to break the version of you that no longer fits your life. The version built on fear. The version built on approval. The version built on shrinking yourself to be accepted. The version built on carrying burdens that were never meant for you. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding yourself. And beneath everything you're releasing, there is a stronger, cleaner, truer self rising quietly. You can feel this rise in the smallest moments. The way your breathing changes when you speak honestly. The way your body relaxes when you stop forcing things. The way your thoughts soften when you stop apologizing for your needs. Awareness is doing this. Awareness is rewriting you. Awareness is rearranging your inner world so that your outer world can finally shift with it. Now pause. Bring your attention to that quiet place inside your chest, where the pressure has been building. Feel it without explaining it. Feel it without pushing it away. Feel it without trying to fix anything. Just let the truth sit there for a moment. This is not fear. This is alignment forming. And with every breath, you are becoming more honest, more awake, and more aware of the life you can no longer pretend to fit into. The shift is not coming. It has already begun. There comes a moment in every inner transition when the old parts of you begin to resist. Not loudly, not violently, just enough to make you doubt yourself for a second. You feel the pull of who you used to be. You feel the weight of your past reactions. You feel the familiar urge to shrink, to stay silent, to choose safety over truth. This resistance is not a sign that you are going backward. It is a sign that two versions of you are overlapping, the version formed by survival and the version rising from awareness. And that overlap feels like tension. You sense it when the old you wants to stay small, but the new you wants to breathe. You sense it when the old you wants to keep the peace, but the new you wants honesty. You sense it when the old you wants to follow the pattern, but the new you wants to step out of it. You sense it when the old you says, "Don't change anything," and the new you whispers, "You can't stay here." This tension is not a problem. It is a sign that your awareness is becoming stronger than your fear. You may feel uncertain right now. You may feel emotionally stretched. You may feel like your life is too small for the person you are becoming. And that feeling is the clearest indicator that you are moving in the right direction. You think your doubt means you are failing, but actually it means you are thinking for yourself. You think your sensitivity means you are weak, but actually it means your awareness is sharpening. You think your exhaustion means you are worn out, but actually it means you've carried emotions you were never meant to hold alone. This is what happens when a pattern starts to fall apart. It becomes uncomfortable to repeat it. It becomes painful to stay inside it. It becomes impossible to pretend it's who you are. You begin to see every part of your life with new clarity. The conversations that drain your energy, the relationships that silence your truth, the habits that shrink your spirit, the expectations that suffocate your inner world. You start noticing the places where you've been abandoning yourself. You start noticing the moments where your intuition flinches. You start noticing the emotional weight you've accepted as normal. You start noticing the quiet ache that rises every time you go against your own awareness. And this noticing changes everything. For the first time, you're not judging yourself. You're not forcing yourself. You're not pushing yourself into who you think you should be. You are observing what is real. And when you observe the truth without denying it, your entire inner world reorganizes around that truth. You stop choosing from fear. You stop saying yes when your whole body says no. You stop pretending to be unhurt when something cuts deep. You stop carrying responsibilities that never belong to you. You stop shrinking your voice to avoid discomfort. This is where the deeper shift begins. You start to recognize your own worth, not the worth the world taught you, not the worth you tried to earn, not the worth you measured through effort and approval, a quieter worth, the one that rises naturally when you stop betraying yourself. And with this worth comes a new kind of clarity. You start to see your patterns not as failures, but as old instructions written during a time when you didn't have the awareness you have now. You were doing the best you could with the tools you had, but now you have something different. You have observation, you have awareness, you have truth. And truth rearranges everything. You begin to feel less drawn to chaos, less patient with disrespect, less available for situations that drain your energy, less willing to carry emotional weight that isn't yours. At the same time, you start feeling more drawn to peace, more drawn to clarity, more drawn to people who don't require you to shrink, more drawn to the version of yourself that feels honest. This is not a small shift. This is a change in the direction of your entire life. Now pause for a moment. Bring your attention to the part of you that feels the strongest right now. The part that is steady, the part that is alert, the part that is noticing everything with quiet precision. Stay with that part for one breath. Let it expand inside your chest. This simple act is enough to dissolve another layer of the old pattern, because every time you return to your awareness, you return to yourself. And now something new becomes visible. The way you used to react doesn't feel natural anymore. The way you used to silence yourself feels heavy. The way you used to explain yourself feels unnecessary. The way you used to abandon yourself feels impossible. You are stepping into a new internal space. Not a destination, but a direction. A direction built from honesty, from awareness, from inner clarity. And even if you don't feel fully ready, you can sense that something in you has already changed. The shift is not ahead of you. The shift is happening inside you, right now, in real time. And the quiet intelligence guiding you is stronger than the fear trying to hold you back. You are not drifting. You are aligning. You are not lost. You are awakening. You are not falling apart. You are becoming real. And that is the beginning of everything. There is a moment in every deep transformation when everything you have been observing finally begins to connect. Not suddenly, not dramatically. It connects the way dawn fills a dark room, quietly, gradually, naturally. You start realizing that the subtle signals you felt, the discomfort you couldn't name, the thoughts that kept returning, the inner pressure that refused to fade, none of it was random. Each one was a piece of direction trying to guide you toward the truth of who you are. You may not have seen it clearly before, but now the pattern is impossible to ignore. You begin to understand that the person you were becoming was already inside you, long before you had the courage to notice it. You begin to realize that your intuition wasn't confusing. You just weren't listening. You begin to see that the moments you thought were breaking you were actually the moments that were waking you. Every signal you ignored, every hesitation you felt, every quiet ache in your chest every time you tried to pretend you didn't care. It was all pointing to the same truth. You were outgrowing a version of your life that could no longer contain your awareness. And now you can finally feel the shift happening in real time. You no longer feel comfortable in spaces that steal your energy. You no longer feel safe in patterns that silence your voice. You no longer feel drawn to people who require you to shrink. You no longer feel willing to carry emotions that don't belong to you. This is the moment when your inner signal stops feeling like a disturbance and starts feeling like a guide, a steady guide, a quiet guide, a guide that doesn't push you but leads you. You may still doubt yourself. You may still question your strength. You may still feel the pull of old habits. But beneath all of that, something inside you has already changed. There is a new presence rising within you. A presence that is calmer, clearer, and more honest than anything you felt before. And this presence is not here to take you backward. It is here to take you into alignment with who you were always meant to be. You are beginning to separate from your old identity. Not by force, not by effort, simply by seeing it clearly. You start to notice how often you used to justify mistreatment, how often you used to carry more than was yours, how often you used to silence yourself to avoid conflict, how often you used to confuse peace with self-abandonment. And now, the moment you see these patterns, you can no longer pretend they are normal. This is how inner awakening works. It does not ask you to burn your life down. It asks you to stop lying to yourself. And the moment you stop lying, your life begins to shift on its own. You make quieter choices, cleaner choices, stronger choices, choices that come from awareness, not fear. You begin to move differently, not to please others, not to prove anything, but because your inner world is finally guiding your outer world. And something even deeper happens. Your old habits lose their power. The reactions that once controlled you now feel distant. The fears that once limited you now feel thinner. The doubts that once held you back now feel like echoes. The heaviness you carried for years now feels like a coat you can finally take off. This is the moment when inner observation becomes inner freedom. And freedom does not feel loud. Freedom feels like clarity. Freedom feels like ease. Freedom feels like coming back to yourself after a very long time. Now pause. Bring your attention to the thought that has been returning to you again and again these past days or weeks. The one you kept dismissing. The one you kept avoiding. The one that rises even when you try to ignore it. Look at it without fear, without pressure, without explanation. Let it speak. This returning thought is not noise. It is direction. It is the place inside your life where truth is asking to enter. It is the door you were afraid to open. And the moment you acknowledge it, the path becomes clear. This is the quiet pivot point most people miss. They expect transformation to be loud, to be dramatic, to be obvious. But your shift is not loud. Your shift is steady. Your shift is clean. Your shift is real. And the moment you began noticing your inner world was the moment everything started to change. You think your uncertainty means you are stepping into emptiness, but actually you are stepping into truth. You think your fear means you are losing stability, but actually you are losing illusions. You think your sensitivity means you are breaking down, but actually you are waking up. Your awareness has outgrown your old limitations, and now the observation becomes a choice to honor what you feel, a choice to move toward what steadies you, a choice to stop betraying yourself, a choice to walk in the direction that keeps returning to your mind. This is how real change begins, not with motivation, not with force, but with awareness that refuses to disappear. Your life is shifting, not because you demanded transformation, but because you finally allowed yourself to see. And now everything is ready to align with the person you truly are. If this message resonates, leave one quiet word in the comments. A word that captures the shift you feel inside. Tune in, recalibrate, shift your frequency, shift your